you know it's bad when you're standing on straight road and you got a light and you're really slow. Like, you can't really take off, like, at all. Like, I mean, I'm talking about really slow acceleration. Like, you're barely pulling, you're barely moving. I'm serious. It got to that point. That's how bad it was for me, okay? So, you know, it was so embarrassing. Here I am with a brand new Mercedes Sprinter. At that time, it was a Dodge Sprinter. That's what they were known for. Now it's a Mercedes Sprinter because Dodge no longer sells them. I wonder why. Yeah, like, it was embarrassing. Crazy, especially when you get up the hills and stuff. The trucks was beating me, the old Ford and, you know, Chevy vans are beating me. Like, they were old, beat up and everything, and here I am poking along behind trucks. And you know, trucks are heavy, you know, they have to, like, barely go up there. I mean, it was horrible. It was really frustrating. And if you guys have this type of thing, I got a fix for you. I got a solution. Guess what I did? It got so bad, man. I went, you know, I drove home and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna try this. I went underneath my van, removed the 2 clamps that the pipe is being held by. I just removed that sucker. I unplugged both sensors. I unplugged the fuel lines. Man, I didn't even plug the fuel lines up. I actually bought a little gimmick, like a plasticky thing where you could insert it and it's gonna block the pipes. I was gonna, like, you know, do it to where it's not gonna be leaking in diesel. But, you know, I looked, I removed it. It was not leaking in diesel. There was no reason for me to block them up. So I just left everything hanging. I just took everything kind of like out of the way to where it's not going to be bothering, and just zip tie everything. Guess what? I started the engine right up. It was not even loud. Like, it was not like crazy, you know. But man, that sucker went. It was like a Mustang. I know I'm comparing a Sprinter to a Mustang, but then it was like, you know, just going up the hills, man. Like, man, that was crazy. Like, that engine was so powerful. Like, it just goes like crazy. Okay. So I'm thinking, whoa, I got my new Sprinter back because it felt better than new. It was finally good, and it was a little bit over 100,000 miles, man. And I had to struggle with that thing all the way to 100,000 miles. And this, what happens is, if you're taking somebody's word for it, like mechanics, diesel, you know, like, some of them are good, you know, don't get me wrong. But you can't take something like that as the last type of resort to have them replace your part for $35 or $3,800. Before you know, they're gonna probably charge you $5,000 out the door, because now they're charging shop supplies and everything else. They're really good now. They know how to make that bill higher. They know. Yes, they do. So this is why I have this channel. You know, I'm not talking about any mechanics that's working for themselves. I'm pretty sure a lot of them, you know, they're just trying to make an honest living, and I've talked to some good ones in the past. It just so happens sometimes at the dealer, that's when they try to get you, at the dealer. Not the Mercedes dealer, though. Maybe some of them. But the Mercedes dealers that I experienced, they were actually pretty good. They were fair. They were reasonable. Their parts were cheaper than Dodge, okay? I haven't compared Freightliner, because they also had, you know, Freightliner Sprinters, which is the same thing. But Dodge, for some reason, wanted to rip me off for parts. Every time I would ask him, why is it so much? Like just a little example. A headlight bulb, okay? H7, one. Not even a pair. One. Bubble wrap. We're not even talking packaging here, okay? So I'm like, hey, my light is out. I need to buy myself a, you know, light bulb at the dealer, because, you know, I thought that maybe they're special. I just started owning one. I didn't know, you know. So because it was a beginning. So he's like, $35. I'm like, what? $35? What the heck, you know? So he's like, yeah, and I'm like, why is it so expensive? He's like, must be the Mercedes. What? Mercedes? It's H7 light bulb. They're so common, you know, like Walmart sells like one of them for $10, okay? You could pick up a pair of them on eBay for $5. 2 of them, which is gonna shine brighter, it's gonna look a little cooler, you know? And I have done that in the past. Sorry for the little vibrations here, but this road is kind of shaking. I really can't do nothing about it. So yeah, so I removed that little pipe. You know, and it was running really good, and you might think I left it like that. No, I drove with my particulate filter, the whole shebang, you know, the whole system, once I removed it, down to Pep Boys. And why Pep Boys? Well, I'm used to shopping at Pep Boys, and they had like stuff at that time. It was the place that I would go to. They were close, and you know, I like AutoZone and Advanced Auto Parts. I like them all, but particularly Pep Boys, it seemed like they had a better selection of pipes, different length in pipes. I found one exactly the length that I needed. I'm like, you know, I measured them all out, and I'm like, oh, that's what I need. And you know, the cool thing about it, one side was already a little bit more stretched than the other, because I needed, like, on one side, I think like 2.5 inches pipe, and on the other side like 2.25 or something. And then I would need to stretch the, I think like a 2.5 portion, I can't remember which side. I had to stretch and make it a little bit rounder. And this is what I did. I went to the Meineke shop, and you know, I paid the guy a little tip, and I said, look buddy, can you do this for me? He's like, sure. He put on this machine and it rounded it out, you know, like on the inside. And I know steel, I know like how to work with steel, because I used to work with steel a year and a half. You know, I didn't use those fancy tools, but I had structural steel and engineer type steel, you know, because I worked at a steel factory, steel shop basically. So yeah, that little pipe, once I did it, all I did is I took original clamps, put that thing back using original clamps. Problem solved. I drove like that for the next, well, till 350,000 miles, okay? So we're gonna point out a couple other things that went wrong. All right, at 120,000 miles, I had to replace the brakes, okay? I basically went ahead and replaced all of them. I didn't buy any rotors, but I replaced the brakes. And funny story, I took it to one of those places that actually works on your brakes, which is Firestone. Yeah, it was Firestone. You know, they're pretty cool guys. I was pretty used to taking my car down there for alignment and stuff, and it worked out great. So naturally, I brought my Sprinter down there, you know, to get my brakes done, because I never done Sprinter brakes before. So I brought it down there, and I brought my own brakes to them. Here you go, guys. That's the stuff. And well, yeah, we'll do it. 3.5 hours, you know, come back, pick it up. All right, cool. It was like within walking distance. I lived like in a really good location where it was just everything there, like shops and everything. Well, guess what? 2.5 hours later, they called me up. They're like, hey, guess what? We can't do it. Why? Why you can't do it? You know, it's a Mercedes. I'm like, yeah, we don't have a book for it. I'm like, it's brakes. It's, you know, yeah, but it's got sensors. Really? Sensors? I mean, are you kidding me? Like, how difficult is it? Like, is it to replace? Yeah, we don't know how to do it. Sorry, man, we can't do it. All right, cool. Yeah, and I went and I picked it up. Guess what? That same day, I did it myself, and it was the first time. It took me like, I think like hour and a half to do all of them. And I didn't even know. I mean, that's not my first time to do brakes, okay? Don't get me wrong. I've done other Mercedes and I've done Audis and stuff, gas models, okay? So it was a no-brainer for me. And I took a shop class back in school, you know, automotive class for 3 years. They taught us a lot of stuff. I do recommend that if some of you guys are in school, take a shop class. You're going to learn a lot. You know, one day I might tell you everything you get to learn in there, at least what I've learned. But it was definitely helpful for me, because in the beginning I liked cars, but I mean, like we don't know like cars in the beginning. We like them. We want to know more about cars, if you know, if that's our interest. But at that time, I wanted to be a mechanic. I mean, that was like my dream and stuff. And of course, it's really not my dream. I thought that's what it is, because I have a family of mechanics. I got a brother that's a mechanic. My dad is a mechanic. All my uncles, you know, including my grandfather, and he's like on my mother's side, you know. So everybody's a mechanic. So I thought naturally I'm going to be a mechanic. This is kind of like why I'm mechanically inclined, but I don't want to call myself a mechanic, because I'm not one. You know, I'm self-trained. I just, everything I do is from my own research. I do it by myself, and this is how I know what needs to be done and how it needs to be done. It's how I know, like, diagnostics. If you just tell me what's going on with your Sprinter, what's going on? Like, how is it acting? You know, what's up with it? I could tell you, you know, because I know what's going on. For the most part. Now, you know, I'm sure I'm going to be stumped one of these days. But, you know, like, you guys ever heard of the Car Talk? Those two brothers over there, and they would just make up an answer. So, I don't know, I might just do that. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to make it up. But if I do have a nice solution where it's an educated guess, I'll definitely tell you, kind of like, I think it's this, but maybe check in like with another mechanic or something, or maybe do some of your own research. And if I do bump into research, of course, I'm going to update it, and I'm going to let you know, what exactly I think. But I do want to make sure that I give you guys all the information possible. That way you could just service your own vehicle. Just service it. We're not talking about taking your engine apart, except we are. Because, you know, I've done that before, and I'm sure if some of you guys need to do that, you're going to save a heck of a lot of money by doing that, including the transmission and everything else. Because if I don't have videos on that now, trust me, I will. And believe me when I tell you this, they're going to be much better than they are now. Because before, when I started out, this was just nothing but a hobby. Now it's more than a hobby. I'm really interested in filming. I got all kinds of professional software, camera equipment now, and knowledge how to make the videos right and edit them the right way, to where I will give you guys a professional grade mechanics tutorial on whatever I'm doing, using several cameras to get all the views and, you know, really make it work for you. So getting back to the brakes, I've done it myself. And okay, a couple other things I want to mention. Okay, yeah, the brakes was easy to do. A couple other things. At 250,000 miles, my alternator went out. So just keep in mind, that's a normal. You know, at 150,000 miles, I believe my belt ripped. So replace it before then, or at 150,000 miles. Do not wait. At about maybe like 180,000, I had a pulley brake, and then I had like another pulley brake just a little while. So maybe when you reach 150,000 miles, just go ahead and replace the pulleys at 20 bucks a piece. If you pre-order them, if you get them from a part store, you might pay like 50 bucks and maybe like 20 bucks for a belt. Maybe they'll charge you cheaper, you know, for some of the pulleys. But in my experiences, that's kind of what they are. And that's just any kind of part store you go to, I mean, plus or minus, you know. But when you're on the road, you need parts right now, yeah, you're going to pay whatever they ask. Or take it to the dealer or mechanic. But it's not really hard to do, and I have videos about how to replace belt and pulleys and everything. But on a 2007 Sprinter, make sure you are buying the correct belt, because it is like, I believe it's like 6 grooves, okay? So you want to make sure you get in the correct belt, and there's 2 belts, okay? Get 2 of them, the same ones.